So, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. So, let's inshallah begin our first task for tonight's class. And my first task in my plan is that I want to make sure that if there is anything which you want to know about that file which I shared last time, which was regarding the first lesson of irregular verbs. So inshallah, let's begin with this first task. So please feel free if there is any question or anything which you want to ask regarding our first lesson of irregular verbs, which I have shared in the group already. I shared the recording of last session as well in case if you missed that. So please, brothers and sisters, if there's any question you want to ask, Bismillah. Okay, Alhamdulillah. I'm expecting that inshallah this one is clear. Inshallah, on this topic, we will see our next lesson in our next class, because this was my plan actually for today, that today I will answer or I will take any of your questions regarding that lesson, because that was the basics and fundamental concepts with regard to irregular verbs. So inshallah, we'll continue this one in our next class, Bismillah ta'ala, and I will show you that how to put all of this discussion of irregular verbs in a perspective in terms of a practical aspect. So now, this was my first task. So if there's no question, I'm happy to move on to the second point. Second point was that I shared in the group some notes regarding the concept of badal. I'm expecting that though, first of all, I explained as well. I try to explain as well because some of you were facing some difficulty in that concept. And then I shared this same link in the group. So if you have read this discussion and if you are not clear on something, please ask me now. Okay, so let's move on to our third point. And third point is, inshallah, we'll continue the analysis of the text of prayer. Now, we have done so far Sana, Dua al-Istiftah, which means the opening dua, Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika wa tabarakasmuka wa ta'ala jadduka wa la ilaha ghayruk. And then we did Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, which is the tasbih in the ruku'ah. And also we did in our last session tasbih of the sajda, which is Subhana Rabbiyal Ala. If anyone has any question with regard to what has been discussed so far, please feel free to ask your question, and then inshallah we can start our today's text.
So one thing actually I figured out, but I had a for example, in Subhana Rabbi al-Azim, because in Rabbi, we cannot, we don't know what the actually status of Rabbi is. It could be Rabbu, it could be Rabba, it could be Rabbi, because when we have the attached pronoun of Ana, E, then we don't really know what is going on. But looking at the next one, Al-Azimi, because that's Zar. Also after Subhana, because that's light, is potentially that's the mudaf. Next one will be mudaf ilai, and it have to be Jar. Using those common sense, I think from myself, I figured it should be Jar. But like, is this the way we figure out? Because from Rabbi, we don't really know which version it is. It could be anything, any three.
Actually, brother, you are right. The process you have mentioned, actually that is the right process, and we do know, because yes, you are right that actual word is Rabbu, or in nasab form Rabba, or in jar form Rabbi. This is actually whether Rab and Ye. So as you can see that the Arab or the last haraka, because remember when I say Arab, I mean the last haraka. So in this case, brother, Rabbi, the word Rabb itself has a kasra, as you can see here. So it is not, we cannot say that we are not sure it is it, if you look at this much. For example, I have covered some of it with my cursor. If you just look at this much, which is before the cursor, it is Rabbi with the kasra. And we know that when we have ism in jar status, as in this case Rabbi, not Rabbi, just the first word Rabb, the word Rabb is ending with the kasra. So we know already with this text that it is in jar status, and we know that ism can be in jar only primarily for two reasons. Either there is a jar before it, or there is a mudaf before it. So in this way, we figured out that Subhana is becoming mudaf, and that is why word Rabb, not Rabbi, the word Rabb is in jar status. Brother Tafazul, clear?
I still have confusion because, like, if we don't have the fatha on ya, that's normally is. When you have Rabbi, we don't have the fatha on the letter ya. So in that case, that's supposed to be the long vowel, isn't it? With ba and ya.
Brother, I explained, I think I'm not sure if I did last time or not, that this fatha on the ya is not basically that this fatha is the original fatha, because there's no fatha. It is basically ye, just ye.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We can, if we take the fatha out, then, for example, because it is only for the purpose of connecting.
Yep.
So we can remove the fatha. Then from this Rabbi, is it the kasra for iya or it is kasra for ba? How do we know?
Okay, brother, look, what I'm trying actually to focus is that you don't need to look at the ya whatsoever in order to determine about the Rabb, because as you can see that Rabb, if you just look at the word Rabb, Ra and Ba, you can clearly brother see that Ba has a kasra. So we don't even need to go further in order to figure out anything about the Rabb, because Rabb is in jar status. The word Rabb is in jar. Why? Because this Ba has kasra. And then the next thing is when we need to decide this ya, then we know the simple principle that whenever pronoun is attached with the ism, the status of pronoun is mudaf ilayh. So we will apply that principle in order to figure out ya, anything about ya. But with regard to brother Fazul, Rabb, we don't need to even go further, because Rabb itself has clear kasra.
Probably I will give you another example, not now, but I'm saying when we write Rabbi, it's always with jar, even sometimes if it is like it has dhamma or fatha, it doesn't count because we have the attached pronoun e. So we write like Rabbi.
Okay, now I think now I'm getting your point. Maybe you are trying to say that even if Subhan was not there, still in the writing style, if it was Rabbu, we still have the kasra. Is that what your point is?
That's correct.
Okay,
that's correct.
Inshallah, I would say, brother, if you can show me that example, maybe I can understand it better, inshallah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But now, inshallah, I got your point now.
Yeah.
Probably this Rabbi, it means if it's only kasra without an ya, even that probably means my Rabb.
No. Brother Chazeb, in that case, it will be Subhan Rabb with tasbih of Rabb, because as we discussed last time, the Subhan comes in the meaning of tasbih.
Yeah. No, brother Tafadhal mentioned that sometimes it comes on its own, even then it's Rabbi.
No, actually, Brother Tafadhal was saying that even if this first word Rabb, he was trying to say, even if this first word Rabb comes on its own, he says that we still have, when this Rabb and Ya together comes, they always come as Ba with kasra. So this was his actual point.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. But Chazeb bhai, if only word is Rabb, Subhana, Rabbi, and there's no Ya here, then it does not mean my Rabb. Then it will mean tasbih of Rabb.
Okay, Jazakallah, inshallah.
Right now, Subhan is mudaf, and Rabbi al-Azim, the whole thing is mudaf ilayh. Why? Because Rabb is connected to Ye, and then al-Azim is connected to Rabb as well, being the sifa of the Rabb. So instead of saying that Subhan is mudaf and Rabb or Rabbi is mudaf ilayh, now we can say Subhan is mudaf and Rabbi al-Azim is mudaf ilayh. So basically Subhana Rabbi al-Azim is a mudaf ilayh fragment, and that's it. And then we discussed that how to then how to justify this, that what is the role of this fragment in terms of technical grammar. We said that they would say that usabbihu or sabbahtu, depending, you can choose either one of them. You can choose sabbahtu in case if you want to go for madi, number 13. If you want to go for mudari 30, you can say usabbihu. So they say that sabbahtu or usabbihu is employed fi'l, and subhana rabbiyal azim is a maf'ul for that fi'l. But that is just to grammatically explain this bit. Why? Because subhana rabbiyal azim is only a mudaf ilayh fragment. So that is how we explain that one. But obviously in the text of prayer, we only have subhana rabbiyal azim. There's no sabbahtu or usabbihu. So in this case, when I'm saying subhana rabbiyal azim, I'm actually saying that my Rabb is glorified, or my Rabb is with perfection. Because when we say Allah is Subhan means to declare Allah's perfection, or to declare that Allah is free from any imperfection. So declaring that Allah is free from any imperfection, that is captured in the Subhan, in the tasbih of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when we say Salah Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, we are actually saying, not from a literal grammar point of view, but in reality, we are saying that my Rabb is glorified, or my Rabb is free from any imperfection, and he is what? Al-Azim, he is the Almighty. And likewise, in the tasbih of the sajda, when we say Subhana Rabbiyal Ala, we are saying that my Rabb is glorified, and he is the most high. Al-A'la, the most high. So if there's no more question or point, then inshallah we can start our today's part. So let's inshallah see that how far we can go in this session. And inshallah, I am not in rush. My request to all of you is please feel free. Wherever you find any question, please ask your question. Inshallah, I really want you to make all of these things clear, because at the end of the day, this is the most important part, because with this our salah. So we should be inshallah clear about every single thing, bi'iznillahi ta'ala. So let's inshallah deal with this zikr of the, when we are coming back from the ruku'ah, we say Sami Allahu liman hamidahu. Okay, now let's deal with this first part. So Sami'a, obviously now we are clear already that it is from the 3 root letter families, and it is a fail madi. And inside of Sami'a, there's a file, and that file is huwa. But before I put that here, you can clearly see that after Sami'a is a fail, the word Allahu, and I mentioned last time that in the books of grammar, whenever the word Allah comes, they say lafzul jalala, the word of majesty. Okay, so lafzul jalala, which means the word Allah, is in rafa status, and we know the simple principle that in jumlatul failiyah, which is the case here, because Sami'a is a fail, so jumla failiyah has started. In jumla failiyah, when you get ism in rafa status, that ism plays the role of file. So which means that Allahu is file, and there was a built-in file in Sami'a, and that was huwa, that is cancelled. It will not be used as the file. And then liman, obviously this word lam is jar, and man is majroor. Okay, liman, lam mean for, and in this case here, this man, let's see that which man is it. So man hamidahu, this man actually is, in this case, this man is a ism mawsool, and this complete jumla hamidahu is a complete jumla. Why? Hamida is fail madi, Inside of Hamida, there is a file, and that file is Huwa. And then this who is an attached pronoun. And what is the principle? What is the rule? When pronoun is attached with the fi'l, pronoun always plays the role of maf'ul. So this who is the maf'ul. And this Hamida who is a complete jumla of fi'l madi, and this jumla is playing the role of sila. Now Mosul and sila together will play the role of jar, or you can say majroor. So this relative clause is playing the role of majroor together, sila and Mosul. Lam was jar, man hamidahu is majroor. So basically liman hamidahu is a jar majroor, is in the role of jar majroor. Even though we know that lam is jar and man hamidahu is actually more than a fragment, but not right now it is playing the role of majroor. Okay, and we know that the status of jar majroor inside of jumla failiya is muta'alliq. So this jar majroor will play the role of muta'alliq, and muta'alliq will fail. And muta'alliq will which fail? Sami'a. This fail sami'a. Okay, so one more time. Sami'a madi. Allahu is the file zahir for sami'a. Liman hamidahu is muta'alliq. Now let's translate it. Sami'a, he heard. But now you say Allah heard. Okay, Allah heard. Liman hamidahu, for the one who praised him. Li, for man who hamida, praised. Remember, I have mentioned last time as well that when Ism Mosul comes, then you do not translate the built-in file. Just for the sake of translation, you don't need to translate the he file of Hamida. Why? Because man has already done that job for the purpose of translation. So Allah heard for the one who praised him. Now, this word Sami'a is when it in this case, when we look at the books of the detail, when they explain all of that, they say that this Sami'a in this place is actually coming in the meaning of acceptance, that Allah accepted the one, or accepted for the one who praised him. Accepted word. You know that in Surah Al-Fatiha, you are making a dua. What is the dua? And that is the central theme of Fatiha. Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. You see, you made that dua, and this phrase, Sami Allahu liman hamidahu, is telling you that dua which you have made for the sake of guidance, Allah has answered your dua, which means Allah has given you guidance. So this Sami'a is coming in the meaning of to answer the dua, right? And which dua? Which you have already made in your Surah Al-Fatiha. So that is the context. And now, inshallah, if anything you want to clarify, please feel free. Okay, if there's no question, let's inshallah move on. Now, let's deal with the second half. Rabbana lakal hamd. So first of all, let's deal with the word Rabbana. So this Rabbana, please pay attention. You see in the Quran as well, there are many du'as of the prophets which start with Rabbana. And sometimes Allah is teaching us different du'as in the Quran which start with the word or with the expression Rabbana. Now, one thing is clear to all of us, that Rabbana is a mudaf ilayh. Why? Because Rabba is a ism and na is attached pronoun. That thing is for sure. So basically Rabbana is a mudaf ilayh construction, in which Rabba and na. Now, how to justify the fatha on Rabba? That is the question, right? So please pay attention. The way to just, because obviously we know that ism cannot have any haraka other than dhamma. Singular ism cannot be in any haraka other than dhamma until there is reason. Now, please pay attention. What is the reason? Whenever you see Rabbana instead of Rabbuna, because logic says it should be Rabbuna. So actually, before Rabba, there is an implied ya. This is implied ya. Clear now? And we know that what is ya? Ya is a harfun nida. And what comes after ya is munada. Munada means the one being called, right? Now, if, please pay attention, if your munada is mudaf ilay, please pay attention. If your munada is mudaf ilay, then the haraka of the mudaf is changed to nasab. I give you one more example to clarify this point. As we all know the name Abdullah. Okay, Abdullah, the slave of Allah, right? If you want to put ya before Abdullah, obviously right now it is Abdullahi. Abdullahi. We know this. Why? Because Allah, lafzu jalala is in jar status. Abdullahi. That is the i'rab of Abd and Allah. Now, if you put ya in the start of Abdullah, because Abdullah is what? Abdullah is a mudaf ilayh, servant of Allah. Abd is mudaf and Allah is mudaf ilayh. And if you want to put harfun nida ya, so what I just mentioned, that Abdullah will become Abdullah. Why this change happened? Because of this ya. Because when harfun nida ya comes before and if harfun nida ya comes before a mudaf ilay, then the mudaf changes into nasab status. So this is the justification that why Rabba is in nasab status, because there's an employed harfun nida ya, and because Rabbana is mudaf ilay, for this reason Rabbu has become Rabba. Is this point clear to all of you, inshallah? Now, next point is that now how to deal with the rest of the part. Okay, laka alhamdu. Now, one thing is for sure, that this laka is a jar majroor, right? And this alhamdu is what? Is a ism in rafa status, right? So actually this alhamdu, you can make this alhamdu as the mubtada, and this jar majroor, which is actually muta'alliq, you can call it shibul jumla khabar. Last thing which we have not justified, how to justify this Rabbana. Okay, so once again, the way they justified Rabbana is, and this is the same thing I'm repeating every time. They say that there is an implied fail, da'autu, number 13 in the Madi chart, or you can say ad'u, which will be number 13 in the Mudare chart. So they say that one of these fail is implied, that oh Allah, I call you. Obviously there's no word oh Allah, so I call you Rabbana, my Rabb. Or you can say actually da'autu and da'awna. Okay, or ad'u or nad'u, if you want to go for the plural. So nad'u, we call you Rabbana, our Rabb. So they say that this Rabbana is actually maf'ul for that implied fail. It is just how to justify everything. There's no such word here implied, okay, in reality. So, and lakal ham, laka is a khabar, shibul jumla khabar, and alhamdu is mubtada. Why they separated the Rabbana and lakal ham? because some of you must know this, and I'm sure that all of you maybe know this, that in some of the ahadith, it is Rabbana walakal hamd, right? So they are treating that basis, that only Rabbana and then walakal hamd, wow and lakal hamd. So they have separated Rabbana and lakal hamd. Why? Because they are assuming that Rabbana is one piece and lakal hamdu is a second piece. Now, this is all just a grammatical justification. In the case of when we are saying, oh our Rabb, all praise is for you. Alhamdu, all praise. Laka, for you. Rabbana, our Rabb. Oh our Rabb, all praise is for you. Right? This is actually the practical aspect. But in terms of grammatical justification, that is how they justify.
So, Brother Imtiaz, it's also give like it's also creating the emphasis as well as hasar, because you have mentioned like if the Jumla Ismiya start with the maful, so it will be.
Yes, you are right, brother. You are right that actually even this bit is also emphatic, because we have learned that when Shibhul Jumla Khabar comes in the start and Mubtada has Alif Lam, when these conditions are met, then it becomes an emphatic Jumla Ismiya. Lakal hamdu mean hamd is only for you. And you are right, brother, that if you assume that this Rabbana, but obviously because I like I said before that this that there is an implied fail before Rabbana, that is just a grammatical justification. Otherwise, for the practical purposes, you are saying that, oh Allah, all hamd is only for you. And this expression only is captured because two conditions are met, that Shibul Jumla Khabar is coming in the start and Mubtada has Alif Lam. Okay, so let's inshallah move on to the next part. Let me open the next page.
So, brother, if Mufta don't have Alif Lam,
yeah,
but it's still like a proper. So,
I give you a better example. Look at the example. There's an example in Surah Al-Baqarah that it says that fi qulubihim maradun. Now, obviously, fi is jar and qulubihim as a complete mudaf ilayh is the majroor. So fi qulubihim is jar majroor, and then maradun is becoming the mubtada. Now it meets two conditions, that fi qulubihim is shibul jumla khabar coming in the start, and then maradun is mubtada, right? Now, but because it is not al maradu, for this, because of this reason, we cannot translate that only in their heart is a disease, which means that disease can be in the hearts of other people as well. So what I'm trying to say, brother Mansoor, is that this particular construction, when you want to create emphasis through the structure of Shibul Jumla Khabar, then these are the conditions. The Alif Lam with the Mubtada, actual Khabar is missing, and Shibul Jumla Khabar coming in the start. These are three conditions. Okay, so let's inshallah look at the actually begin the tashahud part, and let's inshallah see that how much of it we can cover. So at-tahiyatu, first of all, obviously at-tahiyatu is a ism. How do I know? There are two signs. One sign is alif lam in the start, and second sign is alif and ta at the end. Please recall the signs of ism which we learned in our level 1 course, that if alif and ta, not just ta, alif and ta together, when they come in the end of a word, it is a sign that this word is a feminine and it is ism. So at-tahiyatu is a ism and it has alif lam and it has alif and ta at the end. Now this jumla is starting with ism, which is proper, which has alif lam. It's almost 99.9% of time this will become the case of mubtada. Now lillahi is a jar majroor, lam and allahi. We'll see that if we get our khabar, we'll call this one mutalliq bil khabar. If we do not get the khabar, then we will call this one as khabar. Right? Now as-salawatu is a ism, and by the way, this waw is ataf, and this waw is ataf as well. Now was-salawatu is also ism, and I have mentioned this thing in the past as well. Please listen again. When this waw is ataf and the ism which comes after waw, it will be obviously matuf. Now the role of this ism will be determined. You need to see what is before waw in the same status. As-salawatu is in rafa status, right? And before the waw, this word at-tahiyatu was in rafa status, which means that whatever role at-tahiyatu will play, same role as-salawatu will play. Why? Because this is ma'tuf. And then same is the for at-tayyibat. Okay, it is also ma'tuf, which means that actually this is the ma'tuf alay. And it has these two ma'tuf. So at-tahiyatu was playing the role of mubtada, right? Now you will say that actually at-tahiyatu was salawatu wa tayyibatu will together play the role of mubtada, okay? And lillahi will play the role of shibhul jumla khabar because actual khabar is missing. So which means it is actually at-tahiyatu was salawatu wa tayyibatu. That whole thing is in the role of mubtada. And lillahi is in the role of khabar. At-tahiyat means greetings, because the word for when we say salam, the Arabic word for it is tahiyatun. That is the singular form, tahiyatun. And the plural form of tahiyatun is tahiyatun. Okay, tahiyatun. Now, at-tahiyat means greetings. As-salawat. As-salawat you can translate as blessings. Okay, at-tayyibat. Obviously, tayyiba means something pure. Okay, now if we translate words literally, sometimes it becomes difficult for us to translate. So, but we need to know that tayyibatun mean pure things, and as-salawat mean that blessings, favors, mercy, and all of these are captured inside of as-salawatu. And that is the reason, if you look at this page, inshallah, I'll share with you this one. That is how in the most of they translate in the translation. As you can see that all compliments, and this translate this one as prayers, and at-tayyibat, beautiful expression. But this is just a way of trying to capture what is mentioned in the text. Okay, so all compliments is they have used for at-tahiyyat, but we need to know that it actually means greetings. Okay, and they took the word salah as from the prayer, and at-tayyibat they translated as beautiful expression. So all greetings or all compliments and all prayers and all beautiful expressions are for Allah, right? So this was our first bit.
So brother Charles, Why not like Lillah is coming first and then Attahiyat wassalawatun wattayyibatu after
Okay,
that?
inshallah, I come to that point, inshallah, brother. So they said that even though obviously I just mentioned the principle, I just mentioned few minutes ago, that when your khabar is shibhul jumla and it is coming in the start and mubtada has alif lam, if you look at this salawatu and at-tayyibatu, they actually fulfill both conditions. That lillahi as khabar has come in the start, and as-salawatu and at-tayyibatu have alif lam as well, and actual khabar is missing. So this, some of them, they said that actually all the conditions are met. They said that this is just for the sake of beautifying the phrase. They said that the reason that is at-tahiyyat is separated from this one, in reality it is lillahi at-tahiyyatu was-salawatu wat-tayyibatu. One more time, it is they say in reality it is lillahi in the start and then at-tahiyyatu was-salawatu wat-tayyibatu. So they said that just to make the sentence beautiful, just to make it more you can say in terms of reciting it, to give it more beauty in terms of recitation, that is the only way they explain that why at-tahiyyat has separated from that. Okay, obviously it depends that if you accept this or not, but the answer, Brother Mansoor, is they said just to make it beautifully rhyming, they made this change. In reality, they say it is still the mafhum of hasr, exclusivity. It still means that all greetings and all prayers and all pure expressions are for Allah alone. Or you can say that greetings and prayers and beautiful expressions, they in reality they belong to Allah. Because as we know, sometimes, for example, when it comes to praise, when it comes to hamd, we praise other people as well, we praise other creature as well. But they say that in reality, this is the hamd and praise of Allah. Why? Because Allah is the one who has created everything. So if you look at some same line of thinking, they say that in reality, all greetings, all prayers, and all purified expressions, they belong to Allah alone. Now, next part. Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Now, assalamu mubtada. Please remember this point. I said before as well that when a sentence begins with alif lam in rafa status, it has alif lam and it is in rafa status and it is starting the sentence, 99.9% of time it will become mubtada. So assalamu become the mubtada. Then alayka is a jar majroor fragment, ala and ka. And now we'll see that if we get our khabar, then we will call this one as muta'alliq. If we did not get the khabar, then we'll call it as khabar. Now, ayyuhan nabi, if you recall, we have a detailed discussion when we discussed ya ayyuhal kafirun. At that time we discussed that when you want to use your munada, what? Munada. If you want to use your munada as proper with alif lam, then you need to bring this ayyu. And if this ayyu ha was not here, and by the way, in this place there's a hidden ya as well. Ya is employed. So ya ayyuhan nabi, right? So ayyu and ha, if this was not here, then it would be ya nabiyu. Ya nabiyu. Then alif lam you cannot bring. In order to bring this alif lam, use the ayyuha construction. Now this ya will be harfun nida ayyu. ayyu will be munada, and this ha, in the case of ayyuhal kafirun, we said that ha is coming for tambi. In the case of ayyuhan nabi, this ha is actually giving a sharf of fazila. That it is not the one being called has a lot of sharf and honor. So this ha is capturing that sharf and honor. And an-nabi, same as we said that in the case of ya ayyuhal kafirun, ya was harfun nida, ayyu was munada, and al kafirun become the naat or sifa. In the same way, an-nabiyyu will become the sifa. For who? For ayyu. So ayyuhan nabi, the whole thing is simply harfun nida and munada. But munada has a sifa. Ayyu become the munada and an-nabi become the sifa. And it means that ayyu is the mawsuf. So ayyuhan nabi is basically mawsuf sifa and ya is employed. Okay. So, O Prophet, assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi. Now, if you look at this one, after that, this vow is coming. And this vow is again ataf. And we have said before that when vow comes before a ism as a ataf, whatever is coming after the vow will play the same role of something which has came before the vow in the same status. And as-salamu is that word. That as-salamu is actually that word, and this rahmatu is connected with as-salam. And because rahmatu and Allah are linked together, so this whole thing will be called matuf. And barakatuhu is a mudaf ilayh. Barakatuhu, the whole thing, barakatuh is again matuf. So matuf number 1 and matuf number 2. And what is then matuf alay? This one is matuf alay. As I said before, that at-tahiyatu was-salawatu wat-tayyibatu are all mubtada. Same is the case here. As-salamu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu alayka. One more time. As-salamu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu alayka ayyuhan nabi. So as-salam and rahmatullah and barakatuhu, all of them are mubtada. And actual khabar is missing, so alayka will play the role of khabar. And ayyuhan nabi is simply harfun nida and munada. This will be the i'rab or the analysis of ayyuhan nabi. So, O Prophet, may the peace and mercy of Allah and his blessings be upon you. Any question about this one?
These matuf, the word before atif and the after atif, they have to be the same like status or different status?
Always remember, Asif bhai, that when after harf ataf, if you get an ism, okay, the status and the role of this ism will be same, whatever is the status and the role of something that came before wow.
So when we say assalamu,
yeah,
that is proper.
Yeah.
And when we say rahma, yeah, rahma is not looking as a proper.
Asif bhai, rahmatullahi is mudaf ilayh, because mudaf ilayh is proper, mudaf becomes proper. And barakatuhu is mudaf ilayh. When who is mudaf ilayh, so barakatuh becomes proper.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And secondly, Asif bhai, remember this point. It's not that all the 4 properties have to match. No, what I'm saying is that their i'rab will match. I'rab means that whatever the status, rafa, nasab and jar, okay, this status will match.
Okay.
Yes, Dr. Fazlul?
Yeah, so I think for this Ayuhan Nabiyu part, I think one thing you described that Nabiyu with Sifa kind of construction and is harf nida and no Ayu is the harf nida and Ha is
No,
munada.
brother. I said that there's an employed ya. That employed ya is harfun nida.
Okay.
And ayu is munada. And now
Okay.
an-nabi will become the sifa of ayu. So mawsuf sifa together will become munada.
And what will be ha?
Ha, actually, I said before that depending on the context, for example, in the case of ya ayyuhal kafirun, at that time, brother Tafazzul, ya was harfun nida, ayyu was munada, and ha was for warning. Okay, in this case, ha is for the sharf.
Okay.
Basically, depending on the context, we'll give the meanings to ha.
So sometimes for this because an-nabi is the called one, do you also call that munadi?
Brother, the one who's calling is called munadi. We are the munadi and he is munada. So basically, brother Fazul, that ayyu and an-nabi together is munada. Why? Because ayyu mawsuf and an-nabi sifa. Mawsuf sifa together munada.
Okay.
And ha in the middle is just for the sake of giving it nobility.
Yeah.
What is the root letter of the was-salatu? Is it from salah?
Yes, same word. Yeah, salah. Salla yusalli. Same word. Salla yusalli.
So we can say all the prayers.
Like, yes. Basically, we are saying that all our prayers are directed to Allah.
If it say that all the greetings and all the prayers.
Yeah, at-tahiyyat, but tahiyya is greeting and salawat is prayer and at-tayyibat all the pure things. Asif bhai, clear?
Yeah, but you said the blessing, so I got.
Actually, Asif bhai, I said
no,
that.
Last time when you.
Sorry. Asif bhai, you saying
last
something?
Time you said that blessings, that all the blessings.
Actually, Asif bhai,
I'm saying last time when you translate.
Actually, I give, for example, when we say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Now our same word salli, okay, as a amr is coming in that one. So in that when we translated the salli as blessing, because we are saying, oh Allah, you send something on Muhammad sallam. So what need to be sent? We said that you can say blessing. So that was in the case of Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
Okay, exactly.
So I think inshallah we stop here because there are only 5 minutes left in 9 o'clock. So now inshallah biiznillah ta'ala, my intention is that inshallah on Thursday we'll complete tashahud and salawat Ibrahimiyya, which is the last portion of the salah. In this way inshallah the salah will be completed. And we'll also, inshallah, continue the study of irregular verbs. I am not looking forward to dedicate many sessions on irregular verbs. Inshallah, on Thursday, I explain for you that what is necessary for us to know about irregular verbs. In terms of practicality, inshallah, we'll discuss just that much. Because obviously, if we want to make it into detail and all of that, we can spend as much as we like. But inshallah, my intention is to stick with the practical aspect of these points, not going too much into details which are just academic details. Obviously they are important, but they are not for us, to be honest. They are for the scholars. Inshallah, I will hopefully in 1 or 2 sessions, biiznillah ta'ala, I'll complete the discussion of irregular verb, because I have given you the idea. Inshallah, now I will show you that how all of that idea is working in terms of the construction of different words in the Quran. And with this, our task will be completed. And then inshallah, we will together discuss and hopefully I'm expecting this, that by that time we'll be able to meet at the masjid, and inshallah maybe we can meet at the masjid, we can have maybe a cup of coffee or tea together, inshallah, and we can discuss that what is our next plan, bi'iznillahi ta'ala.
Also, brother, I send you the example for Rabbi in Zoom meeting private.
Inshallah, I will look, inshallah, no
yeah.
problem. Yes, I got it. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, brother, inshallah, I will look it. No problem. So if there is any other thing, point, question, comment, please feel, otherwise, inshallah, we are done for tonight's class, inshallah. Okay, inshallah, then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.